Okay, we're going to talk about your friendship with The Rock upcoming, but what would be kind of the, I guess, the origin of Danhausen?
Well, first of all, Danhausen did notice you mentioned this wonderful red makeup under his eye. It is, it is inspired by, you ever seen The Exorcist?
Of course.
It is, Danhausen wanted to look a little bit like Pazuzu. So,
Pazuzu.
Eyes, yes, it's very evil, very famous.
Very evil. Well, it's kind of nice though too. It really combines the two ideas of very evil and very nice.
Agreed. Thank you for noticing. So, these origins of Danhausen. Danhausen he was stumbling around outside, and he stumbled upon, yes, we all stumble around outside.
Just outside in general, yeah.
Outside in general. He said, oh, what is this school? It is a wrestling school, it says. And it was the House of Truth. And it was ran by Truth Martini. And this fellow you may know, his name is Jimmy Jacobs.
Oh, yes. Very creative guy.
Very creative. He's also a little bizarre. A bit weird. Yes. Yeah. But this is where Danhausen went. Did his schooling of some sort. And then was out and about in a human form to not frighten foes. This was before Danhausen cared so much.
Right.
Danhausen was doing the wrestling thing in his human form for about... we'll say 5-6 years. It was okay. Danhausen wrestled the John Gargano fellow and the likes of Ricochet and such. And people liked it, but no one really cares just being a good wrestler. So, you must find your thing. And Danhausen's thing was to embrace his evil side. So we did such. We became very evil for a couple of years at least. Did some things that people maybe liked. And then Danhausen, again, decided to trick the folks, add some nice. And since then, Danhausen's been a top seller at Pro Wrestling Tees. Hopefully gets painted on the wall soon. It's quite ridiculous that he's not there. Danhausen has been put in the Hot Topic at the mall. Have you ever heard of the mall?
I have. I've heard of Hot Topic as well, to be honest with you.
Actually, to be honest with you, Danhausen went in there one time, and right next to the Chris Judas t-shirt was a Danhausen t-shirt.
Oh.
Isn't that nice?
Not a coincidence, I think. I think there's a reason for that.
It was fate.
It was fate.
To come do this television broadcast over the radio together.
Yeah, it's on the radio, exactly. Interesting, too, perfect name. It's like there's certain names that just lend itself, like Van Halen. What a great rock and roll name. Oh, yeah. Danhausen, what a great evil kind of medieval type of a name.
Yes. So let's talk about the name for a second.
Please.
When Danhausen did his first ever show, he went by his human
moniker,
whatever the hell it's called, Donovan Danhausen. And they said, this is too long. No one can pronounce Danhausen. You are Donovan Danger. And Danhausen rolled his eyes and said, what the hell is this? So, Danhausen cursed the fellow, went out as Donovan Danger to rock you like a hurricane, which did not fit Danhausen. And
terrible.
This seemed like the typical, hey, you're debuting, have some rock music that you did not pick.
Yeah, so it's either Rock Like a Hurricane or Enter Sandman. Those are your two choices.
Well, Danhausen does love the Metallica. Quite nice.
Well, I'm saying a lot of people use that in Rock Like a Hurricane, your standard rock tracks, right?
But of course, should have came out for Whom the Bell Tolls because, then you're going to get decimated.
Ooh, nice.
Yes.
So you came out, you were Donovan Danger, Rocky Like a Hurricane.
Yes. Got destroyed by this fellow. Did his thing, but then Danhausen, he decided to take no more. There are not too many syllables in Danhausen. Now, everyone knows the name of Danhausen. That's how Danhausen probably got on this show.
It's the name.
Yes.
Yeah, Donovan Danhausen, cares. Too long. You can't chant. How are you supposed to chant that? Donovan Danhausen. I guess you kind of could, but
quite a little bit, but not enough. But
this is much better. Like Danzig and Van Halen. It's the last Dokken. It's the last name.
Yes, and then so people ask. They add Hausen to the end of these words. They add Hausen to the end of the names. Danhausen.
Oh,
learn from this fellow. It is a comedy documentary of some sort called Seinfeld. There's this fellow George Costanza in there. Very wonderful. He leaves a clock or a hat. I think it's a hat in this person's home, and he says, Costanza. So Danhausen thought, well, this is a good idea. If you add Hausen to everything, no one will ever forget the name of Danhausen. It eats at you a little bit. But
it does.
Then you love it.
So what kind of words and names do you add Hausen to?
So there's this thing. Danhausen just adds it to people's names or the subject of the matter. Sometimes people do too many Hausens. And they say, hello, Hausen, this Hausen is Hausen, Danhausen. No.
Too much.
Too many Hausens. Danhausen would just say, for example, hello, welcome to Good Night Hausen with Danhausen. Today we have very famous, very evil demo god, Chris Judas Hausen.
That works.
Hello, Hausen, Good Night Hausen, Chris Hausen, Judas Hausen. It is too much.
Yeah. Way too much. You want to keep the Hausen and put it in at the right spot.
Yes, it is like an exclamation point.